This classical Chinese text from Korea provides some of the strongest evidence that Japanese used to be spoken on the Korean peninsula, or at least a language related to or ancestral to modern Japanese. There's a lot of archaeological evidence that suggests that Japonic languages originated in Korea and then spread to Japan, but this is direct linguistic evidence. The text is called Samguk Sagi, which means the history of the three kingdoms. And although it was from Korea and it's about Korea, it was actually written in classical Chinese. And that's because this was the literary language of Korea and Japan at the time. The coolest part comes from what are called place name glosses, which are littered throughout the text. Basically, because written Chinese is logographic, kind of like writing with emojis, they had to figure out creative ways to phonetically represent place names too. And they did this by using Chinese characters that kind of approximated the pronunciation, followed by a note that said something like, in the local language this means blank. It'd be like if English had a character for the word den, like a lion's den, and then another one for like marking something, and then we put them together to make the word Denmark. And then we added a note that means like, oh yeah, by the way, this means the land of the Danes. And they did this dozens of times throughout the text, usually to represent Korean names in Chinese. But sometimes the names just didn't really look Korean. For instance, there was one gloss that said, there's a place called Miko or Meko, and it means something like water city. And in Old Japanese, the word for water was mi, and the word for place was ko. And there's actually a ton of these glosses that have eerie correspondences with Old Japanese. And usually they're found in Central and Southern Korea and not in the North, which kind of follows the model of a southern retreat of Japonic languages, which again is pretty well supported by archaeological evidence following the Yayoi migrations of wet rice farming. Unsurprisingly, some of this is kind of controversial both in Korea and Japan because of the ways that this can be spun up into nationalist narratives and has been in the past. But I think it's really cool, and it also helps explain why Japanese and Korean are so similar. It's not just that the languages are near each other, but they've also been historically occupying some of the same territories.